Melania. Разве 17?
Who could be behind the shield? Oh, whoa. Whoa, I did not expect all of this. That is commitment. That is above the rim, sir. Excellent use of the mask. And the rest of the gear, mind you. I can't hear you. Uh-oh.
Oh, here we go. With the pandemic, we all are now familiar with dressing like the Winter Soldier. So there you go.
James Buchanan Barnes, a little bit of him for all of us.
Anyways, yes, and appreciate the questions and the comments, or the comments that we have. Will any of the fanboys be dressed up? Well, at least one of them chose to.
Yeah. I'm looking around to see if I can throw some quick wings on my shoulder, and I don't think that's going to happen this time around. But boy, oh boy, I'm ready for next time.
Yeah, I tell you, wearing a vest indoors with a long sleeve, kind of toasty in here, along with the ring light. But anyways, thank you. Thanks, folks, for joining. In this episode, we're joined by Mr. C. Mr. C, how are you doing today?
Feeling good. The weather's coming around. We got 5 tulips sprouting out of the flower bed in the front of the house. So we're headed into some good times, some spring and some summer weather. So that's all right. We just had a delicious conclusion to a 6-part series of a special TV show. So we're good around these parts. And you, sir, what's going on in your area? How's the bakery run?
Yeah, that's right. I went to the bakery this morning, and I'm getting out of the vest because it's awfully toasty. It's awfully toasty in that thing. But things are good. Things are good. I dug the series, and we'll be talking about it shortly. But I'm glad to be back again with you live here. So good times.
Good times and good times ahead.
All right. So we are going to be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and just if you have not seen the show, you should not be watching us. You should pause this thing, come back to us, watch it on Disney Plus. I waited up till midnight Pacific time to catch it, and I was on my feet for actually most of the time watching the show. Yeah, so if you have not seen the show, just pause us, come back, because this will be all spoiler all the time. And in the flow of this thing, what we'll do is we're going to talk about overall impressions, what worked, what didn't work, and what's next. Anything else? I think that's the 4 things that we said. But four things. I got to work on my weather person thing. But that work?
Works. It works. The city that works, the Cantina channel that works. Let's get to work.
Let's go. So do you want to start first, or should I, on overall impressions?
Well, I don't know. Do you need to one-shot me a little bit while you adjust from your cosplay? We're good for that, if that's the way to go.
That would be great. Let me get out of this thing. Yeah. Why don't you go first with overall?
All right. Overall, here, let me center myself. I was frozen for a second. All right. Overall impressions. This is a Friday night TV show. So in a sense, in a way, this is right here now in the year 2021, the continuation of the conversation that we would have on the playground at school or in the classroom, celebrating, breaking down the other Friday night shows, going as far back in time as The Muppet Show, put in a little Dukes of Hazzard era, put in a little bit of Knight Rider, possibly the Powers of Matthew Starr were somewhere around there, but also most recently, the WandaVision show and its Friday night releases. So here is another Friday night home run. I was very overall enjoying the show. I guess we could say, if my reservation before the Marvel Disney Plus shows were released, I was saying, well, are they just doing this because they expect they can't sell enough tickets for the theater? And of course, many things have happened since that time. But suffice it to say, I don't feel slighted in any kind of a way, or that this is a B tier, uh, a lesser system of delivery of the material. So overall impressions, I'm liking the show. I'm liking the characters. It's not every single moment has me riveted, but I'm good with the experience. And you?
Yeah, no, I would say I would have similar feelings. I like it's television back again, right? Where it's not you get all the episodes at once, and you binge through the whole thing. It's a journey, and you get to have a moment to. I mean, nobody's at the water cooler right now, right? Or probably very few of us are back in the workplace, but it allowed each episode to marinate and for you to wonder what's next. Captain America is among my favorite superheroes. I was thinking back to my honeymoon, which was like 17. No, well, that's real bad. 17, 17 years ago.
Some time ago.
Some time ago. And I'm out in Italy wearing my Captain America shirt because that's what Americans do, right? You just sort of make it over the top. I ain't from here.
I was in Italy. That's exactly what I would be doing.
And so Captain America is one of my favorite characters of all time. You and I have talked about it as well, in the MCU, where I just kept on waiting for Steve Rogers to die, which is a weird thing to say. But knowing the comic books, he does die. He does obviously come back too. No spoiler there because it's comic books. But I'm a fan of Captain America, and I'm a fan of the stories that sprout from it. I've liked the Falcon story in the MCU, but in terms of screen time, dude barely has any minutes, really. I mean, he just doesn't get that much oxygen in the MCU. So I liked this venue as a way to telling more about him and to get into more of the Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier character, and really to make that pivot from the end of Endgame to now actually going forward. There are some parts that I did not like as much about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series that we'll get into. I think some of the pacing fell off from time to time. But overall, as a journey, yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't know if I loved it, but because of some of the minuses, again, that we'll get into. But I liked it a lot. I think the comparisons to WandaVision are inevitable, but it's its own series, so I'm not going to even try to do that. Getting into some of the comments here. So Mr. C in the basement, love the Muppet thing on the wall, and I guess I missed that. Oh yes, there it is.
Oh, look, I'm reaching from the wrong side. So yes, we had a Muppet light switch, and thank you, Junkyard, for saying, yeah, we got Beaker and Professor Bunsen Honeydew. That's been our longtime light switch down here in the basement. So it's funny that I would make reference to the Muppets, and they've been a luminous presence over the shoulder for the entirety of the time.
Yes, and maybe we should do an impression of Beaker and the Dr. Honeydew, I believe is his name.
Yeah, but whoever gets Beaker, it's a touch limiting on what the review would be, because there's only so much you can do with inflection for me.
Yeah,
that's good.
Oh, hey, we're here to entertain. This is a good comment about it's just sort of the beginnings of this. Couldn't get past the first show that the Falcon sounds and looks just like the animated main character in the main movie, voiced by Spies in Disguise with Will Smith. Yeah, with Falcon, I actually love the transition from the comic books to the MCU, where they really modernized and made the character plausible in real life, in MCU real life. So I can understand, though, the first episode, it is the beginning of it, and actually for a show called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're not together at all, which is kind of strange. But I can understand some of the challenges in getting into the show.
Oh.
No, we saw that one already. Yeah, Junkyard adds, yeah, the effects are better quality than Netflix Marvel shows, but acting better on Luke or Daredevil, in my opinion. That's a good take. Yeah, Mr. C, I actually struggled in getting into the Netflix Marvel series, so maybe you can shed some light on that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say the fight choreography and the tone, the ambiance, the lighting, the cinematography on Marvel Netflix, like it was again very specific, very stylized, and it worked very well. So here we're now under a different division, a different hallway, a different wing of the greater Marvel enterprise. And so, yeah, under the Disney banner, they're not presenting well, but then they did after a bit go a little bit dark in some of the character combat interaction. And arguably, so in that one moment, they went darker or more R-rated than what had been shown in Netflix. But definitely, there are a lot of clearly Disney, Marvel. There's a lot of compliments to be offered for their production quality for what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, you think about the contrast of this compared to like what was Marvel when we grew up. Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. It's been a rough road. By comparison, it was a rough road compared to what we have today. Yeah, it got really gritty in this one. It got really gritty in this series compared to, say, WandaVision or anything else we've seen in the MCU. Hey, so should we get to our list of what worked and what didn't? Or actually, first, let's talk about. I'll flip the right thing. What worked? So let's go through our bullet points, and I think we have the same ones from our text messages beforehand. But I'll start. What worked for me was a discussion about race in the MCU. What's your bullet point?
Well, now yours is going to sound all profound and legitimate and academic. Me, wow! In episode 6, look at Falcon in the new costume and the combination of the shield with a jetpack and the way he did his combat scenes. Again, comparing it to the Netflix fighting choreography, Falcon as Captain America, he looks great. And then his action scenes are compared to Iron Fist. Falcon Captain America's action scenes are top notch. He's showing a hero at the height of his combat skills.
All right, let's do it this way. Let's go back and forth on this on individual ones. So we'll come back to my point about race. But yeah, the fight choreography was really brilliantly done. The action starts from the very beginning of the series with Falcon in outside of Libya or something like that, and that sequence. But then also just all of the hands-on fight choreography, the knives. Even John Walker calls it out. What's with everybody with the knives? Just wonderfully done, and you could see the echoes to the MCU, like in episode 5 where Bucky and Falcon are teaming up against John Walker. You see the echoes to Civil War between Bucky, Iron Man, and Captain America. There's a lot of wonderful echoes that are done throughout. Yeah, I agree. The fight choreography is spot on. Also, on your point about Falcon, Captain America. Yeah, it's great how they made it his own. He has his own fight style. He's still the Falcon, but with the shield. So now, he brings himself into that character. That's great. And looking into the comments, yeah.
Right, the Spies on Disguise.
Dude can't get past Spies in Disguise. So yeah, I didn't see that movie. Was it any good?
I can scarcely remember the trailer. I mean, I know the trailer looked like it had a neat style to it, but that's so okay. We'll have some homework to do is to do a compare and contrast to Spies in Disguise.
Yeah, that's right. We'll do a live stream about spies. No, we're not going to do that. All right. So let's talk about race in the MCU, which I think is really the main point of one of the main points of the series. You know, it would not have worked, I think, in a 2-hour movie to try to tackle all of these topics, or it would have been a tall order on how do you tell so many stories, introduce these conversations about race, elements of race, and still have a climactic battle scene at the end in the span of 2 hours. It would have been hard. I don't think we would have gotten to see, you know, if they were to have tried to turn this story into a 2-hour movie, I don't know if we would have gotten to see the vignettes, right? You wouldn't have gotten to see, you know, everything that they touch on. They touch on redlining in the beginning of the series, right? When Sam and Sarah go to the bank, they touch on policing, where you know, the cop stops Bucky and Sam, and really starts to hone in on Sam more than Bucky. Is this guy bothering you? Right? Yeah. You know, pointing to Bucky, is this black man bothering you, really? And then to really bring it all to a head with Isaiah Bradley and in the introduction of that character. There's just so much there's so much introduced into the series, into the discussion. I thought it was really well done.
Agree. So then to merge your point with what worked in the way Marvel through Disney Plus, Marvel and Disney Plus are depicting race in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then I'll pluck out my point of a respectful presentation of the character of Isaiah Bradley, who I had very limited knowledge of previously. The actor selection to take somebody who voiced the animated Martian Manhunter on the DC side of things, to take somebody whose live action resume included both the Mantis series, which is, I can't place it in time, but I know it's a while back, as well as the supporting role on the Alias TV show with Jennifer Garner. This is a top quality selection for actor, and boy did he flex his chops in just the right way, and presented a convincing, well presented depiction of Isaiah Bradley. So well done to Marvel for that.
Yeah, so bold, right? I mean, with the introduction of a new character, and it actually adds more texture and history to Captain America, and what was the arc that led him to being a superhero, and the stories that happened afterwards. You know, the Isaiah Bradley story is really a fictionalized representation of the Tuskegee experiment, where the U.S. government did actually perform experiments on African American soldiers, and you know, to shed light on these kinds of things for a broader audience it's really brilliant, and it may be a little bit nose on the head, right, of going this route, but you know, so powerful. All right, our Spies in Disguise friend acknowledges that he's got issues, so you know, definitely look forward to processing that. But this one from Junkyard, you know, agree about race much better than when the MCU tried to deal with discrimination through mutants versus non-mutants. But hey, where are the X-Men in this universe? Yeah.
I would say we're still a good 3 to maybe 4 years away from X-Men in this specific universe. So they're to be determined at best for now. But we know they're on the way.
Yeah, we know they're on the way. Yeah. And I'm very much looking forward to you have to have Avengers versus X-Men, right? At some point.
Somewhere down the road.
Has to happen.
One would think.
Yeah. Let's talk about Isaiah Bradley a little bit more. So I did pick up, so I got a prop to talk about this, but I got a prop. I've been trying to get my hands on the Truth series. They are very expensive on eBay right now. I think they were expensive or hard to find beforehand, but they're going They're going for a mint. I think you have seen the series before. Is that what?
Yeah, I can't quote it. I must have encountered it at some point, but yeah, I should be better versed in that material than what I am.
Yeah, so I'm looking for. This is issue 2, so I haven't read it yet. But the art is a little bit funny, or it's a little bit unusual, where they've got trying to do too many things at the same time. But it's a very good copy that I happen to have, so I shouldn't bend it too much. But the art style is a little bit different with the elongated faces, and it's a different type of style. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to reading this and actually getting my arms around the actual story of Isaiah Bradley. All right. Anything else that we should touch on with race in the MCU?
Well, let's again take another merge point. So in showing our other title lead character of James Buchanan, aka Bucky, aka Winter Soldier Barnes, in the earliest scenes, in the earliest episodes, he's interacting with Asian American, specifically Japanese character. So that's at first that seemed really neat. Like I wondered, was this someone who Bucky knew from before his time of being frozen over, or was this an old ally of his from their time of being active in World War II? And but that was good that they got me guessing that way. I was going in completely the wrong direction, but again, using a variety of representation, or having a full representation of different races. So I was good with that character also.
Yeah, the diversity. Oh, sorry, I'm getting echo, but the diversity of the series is great. I'll give them marks for that. And I was hoping, I was the same way. I was hoping that maybe the character was one of the Howling Commandos, but not. Let's move on. So what's another one of your list of what worked?
What worked well?
What worked
as in our WandaVision discussion, we spoke of the push and the pull, or setting up possibilities and then drawing back, creating tension. So up until Falcon and Winter Soldier, I appreciated the character of Zemo in the cinematic universe as a villain, as the villain, the guy who found a way in his mind without having super this or super that or anything, but a heck of a lot of resourcefulness and a very good strategic mind. Zemo was able to set in motion an Avengers civil war, or cause the Avengers to, not permanently, but for a good amount of time, he destroyed them from within. He sowed the seeds of division with them, amongst them. So I'm coming into this series not expecting to appreciate or enjoy, the character of Zemo. Like, I really like the character. I was just appreciating him for the function of executing as the villain. Mm-hmm. But now you put Zemo in here, and all of a sudden he's got charisma and charm, and there's plenty of things that Zemo is going to say that I can't disagree with. Oh, well, Zemo was right about that. Or, should there be some kind of regulation of super soldiers, or would it be a concern if there was an army or a group of super soldiers? Might they do things that were out of order, or be very difficult to regulate? Well, Zemo wasn't wrong about that. So as another on the column of what worked for me was depiction of Zemo. It made me like the guy, but it's Zemo. But in this iteration, now I like the guy.
Yeah, there's a lot more depth to Zemo than you would have expected, and you're right. In the MCU, he's clearly the villain, and so the divisions that, one could say actually, furthered, Thanos, actually, because they were fragmented. They weren't together at that point in in Infinity War. There's I like the ability of this series to harken back to other characters that we have seen. Io from what was it? Civil War, right? Who appears and also in Black Panther. To bring that character to the forefront, just wonderful. And it made sense, actually, why it was her as opposed to Okoye or somebody else from the Dora Milaje. It made perfect sense. But yeah, specific to your point about Zemo, yeah, a much more complicated character, almost like what if Batman was the bad guy? You know?
See, and then the comparisons to Batman are, you have somebody who ends up to be not originally depicted in the movie this way, but now revealing that he is a baron, as he is in the comics, which means he has a bit of wealth. And then, as was shown in the episodes, he has a plane and a service crew, an attendant on his payroll. I don't know if it was under the category of butler or what the job title was, but he's got a helper character. So that's got a lot of Batman overtone to it. And now comparing him to Tony Stark, right? Here's well-off person, brilliant mind, resources. So all of a sudden, Zemo is more similar to Iron Man than the previous cinematic theater release depiction of Zemo showed. So again, it's real interesting. Venn diagramming. All of a sudden now Zemo is a lot like Iron Man, but then a lot not like Iron Man. Also bitter enemies.
Yeah. No, I agree. Oh, we have a comment, and actually, this is a good one. Where the heck is Steve Rogers right now?
I'm not clear. We know Steve, or when last Steve was seen at the end of the fourth Avengers movie, he was up in his years. Did he just jump back for a minute to say hi to Sam and Bucky, and then went back to spend his time with Peggy Carter? Or so it's unclear to me the precise location of Steve Rogers, but this is a top question. It's not where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, but where's Steve? Where could he be?
Well, it comes up twice in the series, right? So it comes up in the very beginning of where Sam is with Torres, I think is his name, the other guy, and they're chatting at a cafe of some kind, and Torres says, "There's this thing on the internet that Steve Rogers is at a moon base looking down at us," and Sam disappears. He says, "I got to go to Washington to talk about moon stuff." Yeah. And then it comes up actually in the finale where Sam bursts in as Captain America, and some dude says, "Oh, I thought he was on the moon." So hearkening back to the episode 1 joke, I guess, but maybe Steve is actually on the moon at some kind of base. Maybe he's at Sword.
I suppose we can't rule that out.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thought they did an okay job of, he's not dead, so we know that part, or we seem to know that part, that he's not dead, but he was off the table, and then it because if he was on the table, if it was still part of the discussion, it would have just distracted from being able to digest the series to move on with the story. Right. So in terms of other things that work for me, I thought the friendship building between Sam and Bucky worked really well. They had a good rapport from their very first introduction, I think in Winter Soldier, or no, not Winter Soldier, no, in Civil War, right, where Sharon and Steve Rogers have that kiss there, and you got Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the back of that car saying, and so that's kind of like the beginning of the friendship between the two of them as characters, as opposed to two separate sidekicks to Cap. But I believed it. I believed in the forging of the relationship between the two, and it now made even more sense, or it had more power when at the end of Endgame, when Steve Rogers gives the shield to Falcon. We now learn more. We know that Bucky knew about the plan, So that was not a surprise to him, that was something that Steve Rogers had planned. But then you got to see Falcon or Sam grow into the Shield, grow into the Captain America character, that he had, and you could see more of his moral compass, what makes him tick, that helps to justify why it's him as opposed to Bucky. So the whole friendship arc worked for me.
Definitely, yeah, like you're saying, they started from a relatable moment that in every man or in every an experience that was easily relatable to the audience, and then, as is the case in friendship, there's definitely moments of smooth sailing, and there's moments of conflict where maybe they need an outside consultant of some kind or another, a mediator can be useful, and it was definitely played for comedic effect, but then also to read between the lines in the therapy session where Sam and Bucky have to sit so close together. I mean, it's absolutely played for comedic effect, and then to jump another layer or level really quickly. Well, the work of those realizations can be uncomfortable, and so it was. The intention was, besides comedic effect, was to generate discomfort between them, to make them in a proximity, in an atypical proximity, to then generate an emotional closeness apart from the physical closeness. So that was a pretty good sequence that they had.
Yeah, I liked that. Yeah, so that was fun, and I liked the callbacks to how we first see Sam as a character, where he's counseling veterans, trying to adjust back to post-military life, and so when they're doing that training montage, or not before the training montage, where Bucky and Sam are together, Sam is doing the tough love message about doing the work. It made sense with the character. These things were not foreign. They made sense with the arc of the character. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
Tying to the comic roots, where the Sam Wilson character, generated in the 70s, was a social worker. So now, as an interpretation, to have a soldier who's then versed in trauma processing, that's a very excellent reimagining of his social work roots.
Yeah. All right. Now back to you. A thing that you would add to the list of what worked that we haven't covered.
So what worked? Well, we got Isaiah, we got Sam, we got Bucky. I would say another thing that worked was just the illustrating the complexity of the characters' viewpoints. We have yet to touch on John Walker and Battlestar, who John Walker, who was at the time being called Captain America, who at the end of the series is going to be called U.S. Agent. So, I mean, he had a method to the madness. He had a means by which he was trying to execute his agenda, as did the Flag Smasher group. And so now we have not just a black and white or good versus evil representation going on, but in this corner you have Sam and Bucky, and a different corner you have the Flag Smashers. Over here in a separate area you have John Walker and LeVar, and then so with all the different conflicts, again, if we were going to set out a bunch of Venn diagrams, some of these characters feel that terminating their opposition is the correct way to proceed, and clearly, in this circumstance, Sam and Bucky were not going ahead with that. Then you also have Sharon Carter in the background, who's revealed as the power broker, and so there's just so many differing views. There she is. So many different choices and so many different methodologies going on that it's just interesting in who overlaps with who. So I would say, like, Zemo was very against the John Walker character. Zemo against people having super soldier results or super soldier power, but in terms of the means of execution of the agenda. So different agendas, but agreed upon means. Zemo was okay with or followed through with executing the opposition, as did John Walker.
Yeah, a lot of complexity to the John Walker character. I want to go back to Sharon at some point. With the John Walker, and there he is. There's John Walker. They did a lot for the short span of time that we had in the series. They did a lot to introduce the character, build it up, introduce Battlestar, and deal with Battlestar and the terrible killing that happens with him, or his murder, and then what sets John Walker off on this really unhinged path. I thought with John Walker, there's a message within it as well. Because you think, we were just talking about Isaiah Bradley. You think about Isaiah Bradley and how that happened in the 1950s. They were experimenting on him during the Korean War. And you want to think that these moments were from generations ago and they would not happen today. And really within the Isaiah Bradley story, there's a contrast that happens between how Captain America defied orders. Steve Rogers defied orders during World War II, did the daring rescue of the POWs, was welcomed back as a hero, and that's what really makes him into Captain America. Isaiah Bradley does the same thing of breaking out POWs, these fellow black soldiers trapped behind enemy lines, brings them back. They all still die eventually over time, and he is put into prison for 30 years and experimented on during that time. You want to think that those moments are periods in the rearview mirror that don't exist today. But then you look at John Walker. And so here is a guy who is a 3-time Medal of Honor winner, Congressional Medal of Honor winner, decorated hero, is Captain America, murders somebody in broad daylight to everybody's phones, right in front of everybody's phones, manages to get a less than honorable discharge, so not a dishonorable discharge, and is allowed to walk from that. And then even within the series, within the finale, and actually this is probably something that doesn't work for me, actually, he becomes a hero at the end, ish, right? And so do we interpret that as like a redemption? Freaking, Bucky is a murderer. He's an assassin, and he gets a pardon. And so you contrast the race of the heroes here and versus Isaiah. It raises questions. So I think with John Walker, it's on one hand, you can look at that character as, what is he has his arc, but now he's a good guy again, maybe, or whatever. But no, it's actually a reminder that the inequities that happened 50, 60, 70, or all across American history are still present today, even in the MCU, even in today's heroes. That emotional bot that I'm knocking the headphones out of my head. Anyways.
Right. So that in summary, what you're saying, how can it be the case that Isaiah Bradley was incarcerated and John Walker walks free? So it's a exploration worthy contradiction in their fates.
Yeah, and nobody's doing experiments yet, at least on John Walker. All right, let's. Just about Sharon Carter. How did that land for you? Did that work?
In some ways, it was similar to John Walker. So let me just quote. I full well expected John Walker to pursue his opponent as opposed to rescue the prisoners on the vehicle.
Yeah.
So again, there was a push and a pull, or a tension, or a keeping me as an audience member engaged or keeping me wondering. So then I was surprised by John Walker's choice. So now, am I surprised by Sharon, who previously has a romantic connection with, Mr. Moral Compass pointing north with Captain America? Her moral compass wasn't necessarily pointing north at this time. So in that way, that's a shock to me that works within the story. Factor in, without going into all the details, but this is someone of the Carter family, and through her TV show and through the end of the Avengers movies, Peggy Carter, again, a very morally correct character. So it's like, it's like, oh, say it ain't so. Just say it ain't so, Sharon. Like, did she have to? What exactly made her turn? So again, speculation I've seen, and again, what comes out in the future. It's unknown yet. Is this character a Skrull replacement of Sharon Carter, or is this the actual Sharon Carter who's behaving in a very different way than she had traditionally? Okay, Marvel, you got me guessing, you got me engaged, you got me wondering. But yeah, it was uncomfortable to see her in the wrestling terms for her to make a heel turn from being a babyface.
That's great. That is a perfect analogy. It is exactly like wrestling, right? To make that heel turn. Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was okay. Since Steve Rogers is very, very old, it would be very, very creepy to have a Steve Rogers, Sharon Carter romantic thing, and heck, he's with Peggy in his new life, or in this other arc, this other universe, or what time stream. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen earlier in the MCU the Sharon Carter, Steve Rogers thing, which is an actual thing. But to make the turn, yeah, I'm okay with it. I was okay with it. I was okay with, I don't think anybody was surprised that she would eventually be revealed as the power broker, because you had enough of the signals ahead of time. But I'm glad to see the character actually go somewhere, because I was actually wondering where the heck is she? Where is Agent 13? I think that's her name. Agent 13.
And I say this in full knucklehead mode. I mean, besides full knucklehead mode, besides the Skrull, unless it's Mephisto in form of Sharon Carter. But yeah, I don't really. It's Mephisto. So
yeah, I agree. Probably not. Yes, yeah, and this is true. Old dudes need love too. But
that's true.
That's true. But a little bit of an age difference, along with the creep factor of Steve Rogers and old man Rogers versus with Sharon Carter. All right. Anything else that worked for you that we haven't touched on?
I'm good to cross over into the other territory. So
I got one more. One more. I really there are a number of beats during the series that I loved. Among them, I like the training montage thing. I guess it's like a trope from like every like 80s action movie,
absolutely.
thing. But I love that it was here. I love that it allowed for showing how Falcon, Sam Wilson was going to transition from being the Falcon to being Captain America, and developing his own style and figuring out how to wield the shield. I thought it was great. And that moment where his nephew touches the shield, right, and he smiles, that was like everything for me, because these stories are for us, for all of us, but you think about kids too. You and I are both parents, and so it's wonderful that these stories can engage with kids, and for the kids to see themselves as heroes, and for their friends to see them as heroes too, to be represented. So it's a small moment where the young man touches the shield, but it was powerful for me. And it was also powerful to see that end moment where you see Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That's the completion of the arc. Putting the closing the book on this chapter. So there were a number of moments that I just really loved. Small moments that I really loved. Yeah. All right. So let's pivot to then what did not work, or what didn't work as well, or what could have been improved upon, whatever we want to shellac it as, not as much of a slam, but what didn't work as well. What do you have on your list?
Well, again, let's
when
take
I'm
a
doing
bridge.
this, I'm looking at my own whiteboard here, so that's what I'm doing.
Of course.
Yeah,
we'll take a bit of a bridge, not quite the rainbow bridge, not quite the Bifrost, but what didn't work. So absolutely, in of itself, the training montage was tributary from Karate Kid to all the Rocky movies and all the other names of the movies I can't recall that we had watched back in the day. Maybe Gymkata somewhere in there. Maybe Octagon is in there. There's a lot of stuff that it was referential of, or the tone in some of the backstory business. So again, I like what was included for the backstory for Bucky. I like what was included for the backstory for Sam. Just the tone of either the I don't know if you want to call it the B plot material, or the stuff that was around the main thread. It wasn't consistent with the A plot material or the main thread. So again, it didn't make me turn away. It didn't make me think I should be watching Spies in Disguise instead of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it wasn't as equally engaging for me as the A plot material was.
Yeah. No, that's a good. That's a good comment. It's a tough one for me, in that what I will remember most from the series is the B plot, actually. But yet, it's the B plot that, and it's not that one is, it's not A or B is one is better than the other. It's just like two separate pieces. But Sam at Home is the heart of the series, and tonally, it's just a bit off. It just takes you out a bit. I don't know if there would have been a better way to film it so that it felt more tonally consistent. And I suppose it's in some way deliberate, in that you're trying to show Sam as hero and Sam as an uncle at home. But tonally, it does create some fits and starts for the series. I get you on that. Yeah. Yeah. One thing that didn't work for me was the Flag Smashers, which is the big bad in the series. I really did not understand their motivation or where they were coming from. I didn't understand, Carly's whole history, or where was Carly coming from. I think it could have been made more interesting. So that's probably what hurts, right? It could have been made more compelling. I understand from talk on the internet that there was an original pandemic related part to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they had filmed much of the Czech Republic scenes, or the parts in Europe that are shown in the series before the pandemic, and then much of everything else was after, or filmed after the pandemic, or during the pandemic. So I didn't. They had to rewrite, according to the internet. They had to rewrite some of the series to deal with that pandemic thing, because it was a little bit too much in the moment and may not have landed as well. So I think that may have caused the issues with the Flag Smashers and why they were not a coherent big bad. But that's kind of a big deal, because that's what you're watching. This is, but I really didn't have a good understanding of what made them tick. What was the significance of Donya's passing? Yeah, I didn't get it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And then to add to your point in ways that didn't work, they were there to serve a function, and I was aware of them serving the function as opposed to just enjoying and appreciating their screen time or their presence. So again, functionally, they're showing another ideology, and to their legitimizing point as a group, people shouldn't be displaced. And granted, this is a fictional circumstance trying to approximate some real world conditions. But sure, people shouldn't be kicked out of where they've been able to stay. Okay, they got something there, but then, and again, without being fully flushed out, or without, and again, you had 6 episodes, so to take time to establish their backstory, and then considering for whatever revision they did around, just both for filming and for story, whatever revisions came to be because of COVID. I mean, so those are unknowns, but yeah, like I didn't why. It's a fair question. Why did they find each other as a group, and why did they go all in as they did? And then again, it makes in battle, it made the comparison to legitimize Zemo's point that super soldiers unchecked are going to end up to wreak havoc, and then also in episode 6 to show Carly in combat with Falcon. Her function there was to show that Sam was still in a heroic way, still trying to reach out to her, or pull a Luke and Vader to save the soul, to heart of darkness, so the whole don't be so far down the river of damned that we can bring our comrade in arms back from the hell that they're in, that kind of a thing. But it was a good way to achieve those plot points. But yeah, without the backstory, there was just something missing. There was a significant something missing. Maybe some of it is just, can't put my finger on it exactly, but it was definitely Flag Smasher bit could have been, or the Flag Smasher thread could have been more engaging.
Yeah. A little more engaging, a little bit more clear on their motivations. It could have been actually very rich and complex of what was driving them. And I think they could have, I watched Mortal Kombat yesterday, and there's like way too many blocks of like dialogue to explain this universe, and it's just like, oh my god, just get to the fighting already. But here with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think they could have done like news clips or something to cram in some of the more some of the exposition about the motivations, and made them a little bit more interesting or textured as a big bad. Because in some way, you may actually agree with the part of the heart of what's motivating them, trying to represent the refugees, or the people who have been displaced by the blip, who have been impacted in this way. But then at the same time, but no, not at the same time. But then it goes to the extreme where people are dying, being blown up, the radicalizing of Carly, and everybody else sort of like, I don't know if I'm in for this. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work. All right, what's another thing on your list?
Well, this one won't be I'll die on that hill. This is not a hill I'll die on. This is a bit of a small, nuanced, petty point, although a petty what didn't work. I like the inclusion of Batroc the Leaper. Again, having seen this character either in cartoon format or on the pages of the comic, or this is a long-standing Captain America rogues gallery villain. So again, good depiction of but so as when Zemo put on the mask just for a quick minute to replicate his comic character, I thought that worked so very well. So then I'm saying, what was, and petty may it be, that was a missing piece then of Batroc, that he was more civilian dressed or combatant dressed, but it was they could have gone into a deeper cut, if you will, referential to his comic suit, maybe some kind of, again, as Zemo popped on a mask, Batroc could have popped on a mask also. I think that would have been cool to see that.
Yeah, with Batroc, I would have liked to have seen more of the acrobatics in this fight with Captain America, because they did a great job of that in Winter Soldier. The parkour elements. He had some of that, but it wasn't as, I didn't feel like it was as well done.
Right, the parkour, the French savate martial art style. That
yeah,
a little bit more screen time of that would have been great.
A little bit more of that would have been great. All right, I'm gonna volunteer here. The finale elements. Some of the finale did not work for me, and I know many people loved the finale. There were just some things that didn't work, and they're story pieces really. Among them is, well, flow wise, just like WandaVision, just the gloves come off. The finale is just true MCU. Just you're in for the ride, and it's good. You get that payoff. Some parts didn't make sense for me. Like, okay, they're it may be petty, but they're evacuating the building, but they got some people in the trucks and they got some people in the helicopter. Seems like there's fewer people getting evacuated than that were in the building. And I assume that's pandemic related, of just, you can't have a lot of people like scurrying out of a office building, and CGI can only do so much. But I didn't understand, as an evacuation strategy, why you would have that, much less the absence of a police escort at all. Just doesn't make any sense. And so it just sort of felt like, okay, we need to have a device where Falcon will be in the, Captain America will be in the skies, and then Bucky and the gang are going to be on the ground. So there are some story elements like that didn't work for me. Sam's speech is among the things that work for me in terms of message, but in how it's executed, where everybody just happens to be together. And we're going to put Carly, who's dead, by the way, on a stretcher for the paramedics. Just kind of strange. And then the whole thing, the way that it kind of plays out. Again, the message is powerful and wonderful. Where he says that in his speech, he's a black man. He doesn't have blue eyes or blonde hair. All he has is the belief to do better. That we can all do better. It's so powerful, right? But the way that it's done in this, everybody just so happens to be together. I think they could have just perhaps done it differently. His same speech, but just done in a way that just felt not as orchestrated here. So certain parts of the finale didn't work for me, story-wise or staging-wise. But I believe, again, with all this rambling, it may have been pandemic limitations in the filming.
Yeah, that's definitely only a Captain America can give you that exact speech, or that's that's a Captain America worthy speech. I don't want to discredit Rocky from the end of Rocky 4. If I can change, you can change. We can all change. I mean, less articulate, but approaching the same kind of concept. But yeah, this was a really good speech, and yeah, there were. Yeah, the wrap up. There was a lot of tying things up into a neat bow, but not a perfectly neat bow, if you will.
Yeah. And now I'm going to go total tangent. So let me show you my shirt right now. So this is my shirt that has the Winter Soldier's words, or the chant. I would not work as a weather person at all. That's obvious, right? It's like, but here it's got the words to trigger the Winter Soldier in Cyrillic, in Russian.
I think hypnotic command might be the phrase you're looking for.
Oh yes, the command, yes. And Oh yeah, and the reason for bringing that up, other than to show off my shirt, was I was watching Rocky 4 recently, and when Rocky is doing that speech at the end, there's a point where he's like rambling. And he's like, I don't know what to expect. I don't expect either. And then, but the Russian announcer is translating, and he doesn't say what he said. He just he just he just chops it down like, I didn't know what to expect when I got here. That's it's not, he doesn't even try. It's like, oh my goodness, Rocky, what the heck is your point? And he just shortens it down. Yeah, he didn't know what to expect.
Well, being a ring announcer and being someone who is conversant, fluent in multiple languages, we can assume this is an intelligent individual and someone who had experience within the boxing world. So we can say that he had experience in taking what a boxer with maybe a few shots to the head, or maybe was kind of more adrenaline pumped and not in a very cerebral thought flow kind of a condition. In distilling and getting to the core of the message. We'll put that out there for Rocky 4.
That movie is like 90% training montages, really. There's a Rewatchables episode, a Rewatchables podcast, where they talk about Rocky 4, and the movie is like 30. It's like 30% montage, whether it's training or there's Rocky in a car. There's little of that actually happens in the movie. All right, and so we spoke about the finale. Anything else that didn't work for you that you would add? I got one more, but
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, this is going to be controversial, actually. Or I think it may be. So I got my action figures. I got props here. I got props. So here we have. This is my Anthony Mackie Falcon action figure. This is the Steve Rogers, and look how ridiculous this beefy pose is about the here. And then we have what else do I have? Oh, we've got this is Bucky as Captain America, right? Because that happens in the comic books. We have Sharon Carter as the Skrull, and no, that is not Sharon Carter. I do have a Sharon Carter action figure. I just couldn't find it. But then we have here Sam Wilson as Captain America. I felt like, because I really love the look of Falcon, and dude is cut, and he's an impressive character as the Falcon. With the Captain America thing, it felt a little like leathery for me, so it looked great. So I don't take that away at all. But it looked a little like chunky or whatever-y. A small knit.
Can we go side by side, Sam and Sam there?
Yeah. And this is in the comic packs of where they had this one, and there's not a Marvel Legend. So this is not the official, Falcon and the Winter Soldier one. This is from the comic books. But yeah.
Yeah, so from where I sit, from what I can see, that the one isn't a repaint of the other, but it's a completely different sculpt and design.
Yeah, and so yes, so that's a good point. So this one is meant to look like as he appears in the comic books. It's not the Anthony Mackie head on Cap. But anyways, I would have maybe liked a little bit different styling, or the Wakanda-izing, because this suit came from the most technologically advanced country in the world. So maybe a different style, but small knit. All right. Anything else that we should cover about the series before we get into what's next?
Let's go.
All right. Oh, we got a couple of comments in the thing. So yeah, we already covered that. Props
Props for
for
the
the
props.
yes, thank you. Yeah, we got. I'm like the carrot top of this live stream,
I feel
and
like we could make that a segment title, props for the props.
yes, we could do that. And then yes, dig the action grips. Yes, and just because that's always great when you disappear from the camera. I think I did this before, but there is a Falcon action figure as well as a Winter Soldier action figure. I'll go to the one shot, and so a pretty good version here where you get Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan likenesses, and it does have Bucky with the Wakanda arm, not the Winter Soldier arm. So cool.
You know, as you have the Winter Soldier figure right next to your own face, man, the haircut similarity between Winter Soldier and what you got going right now that led to the realism of your depiction of Winter Soldier from our opening shot from today.
Yeah, when I'm just going to keep this look. All right, I'm just going
Might
to
as well.
be dark and brooding and look like this all the time with the mask, with the face mask. And,
There you go. That's so very dark and brooding.
Yeah, maybe we do an unboxing video of the toys. All right, so let's talk about what's next. We know from the media that there is talk already happening about Captain America 4, which is great. So the continuation of the Captain America series. I got to say that I'm a little bit conflicted in that I like the ability for the MCU to tell these stories in a longer format where we can learn more about the characters. I like the spy action element. Actually, if I were to think about, and I don't think it's the just because we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think it's actually accurate. When I think about what works well for me in the MCU, it is the Captain America arcs. It is the spy elements. It's just brilliant. Other stuff like Thor, which I know people love, a little funny. Nothing wrong with it. Or Guardians of the Galaxy, I know people love it. I just have not I have not been as all in on it compared to Captain America. So I am looking forward to a new movie, but I would equally like to see a season 2. Yeah.
That would be very good for a season 2. And right, so then by which format will what's next come to us? Good question. But what speculating? So right, Sharon Carter's out there with at least some gray, motivation going on. Clearly looking to continue a power broker representation or display of her power. So you have that going on. I gather, I speculate Zemo is not going to be content to hang out in jail again. And look how easily he broke out before. I mean, Zemo is not an easily contained guy. Maybe he's just picking his moment. So then you have also, as we haven't spoken on, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as yet. You have her as the Contessa, also known as the former romantic partner of Nick Fury, also known as Madam Hydra. So this is another complex character. There's the possibility that the comic book originated characters or title of the Thunderbolts will come to fruition, which is a Zemo-led group of quote-unquote villains who are passing themselves off in different attire in the role of heroes. So maybe you're looking at a grouping of Sharon Carter and Zemo and John Walker in some kind of uncomfortable alliance together, or maybe not. It's possible for what's next. What's next for Bucky and Sam themselves. Most likely when we get around to another Avengers picture, I would expect them to be represented there. I hope Isaiah Bradley, Carl Lumbly is the actor, gets some kind of what's next or get some kind of future representation. So those are my off the top of my head, Rich.
That's a deep cut right there. Yeah, I am dying for a haircut. I get my second shot of the vaccine in a couple of weeks, so then I'll finally get my haircut. Um, the yeah, there's opportunities for story with Val or the Madam Hydra or whatever. Yes, I completely agree with you on the Thunderbolt story, the Dark Avengers, thing that could be really awesome. You possibly have the setup with U.S. Agent now, and if they were to figure out a way to bring in the Spider Verse pieces, so you've got Venom, you've got and all of the characters over there. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities to try to bring that together, and it could be that there's something with we talked about Sharon Carter as being a Skrull, so it could, there's so many tentacles for where this could go. Yeah, and we got a question. Any other impressions? Do the Doctor Strange? Do it. Yeah, we're not. Which is
we'll mix in a little Wizzo. That's a good mashup. That's a good
right.
one.
Yes, that's what Doctor. That's my Doctor Strange. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I don't know if there's anything else for us to cover here. I'm looking forward to more of this. I'm looking forward to Loki, which starts up very soon on Disney Plus. So that's something to look forward to. It's been a great ride with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I am really impressed again by the inclusion of race and into the MCU. All of those aspects, I think are fabulous. They've accomplished a lot here, and it's really impressive. I am looking forward to going to see MCU movies in the theaters again. But at this moment, yeah, I'm digging a lot, and I enjoyed it.
I think Black Widow is now slated for July. I'm not certain. Love the mashup. A mighty mashup it is. And then beyond the theaters or back to the televised format, when going this far back in time now, when the Marvel production house was airing on Netflix, and we had the Daredevil to Punisher to Jessica Jones to Luke Cage iterations of those comic characters. At that time, it was rumored or speculated that Moon Knight was going to become a Netflix series. So the fact that Moon Knight is in actual production, I think they're beyond pre-production now, and Oscar Isaac is cast as Moon Knight, I very much look forward to that, taking that cult level or niche level character. I don't want to call him a B-lister or a C-lister or a D-lister. So I'm saying to that fan cult level character, to see his depiction on any kind of a screen. So in the general, what's next? That's another what's next that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. With due to the pandemic, originally Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be shown first, and then WandaVision. What is missing, I think, with the two series is it's not clear how they tie into the MCU. They feel kind of by themselves. And so we didn't get to see the connective tissue, right? Because there was kind of a through line with the MCU movies and the sequencing of how they all sort of fit, or this nod built onto this other one. So I hope they try to figure out how to do that, or whether it's within the televised series or within the Disney Plus series to connect these universes together, or to figure out, how does it link to the movies?
And just to totally stretch things out to the other stratosphere here, so we have Elaine as Madam Hydra.
Yes.
If we see Hydra characters of Seinfeld and George and Kramer and Newman, that would be something. But now let me put a different but connected here. So after Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus was on The New Adventures of Old Christine, and who was the male lead on that was Clark Gregg, who, for those of us who follow Marvel TV, on the Shield show, which had aired on ABC. So again, there's changes and continuity and what is canon and what is not. But that would be some kind of interesting to see Madame Hydra of Julia Louis-Dreyfus on screen with her former lead partner from her show, Shield versus Hydra. That would be an interesting arrangement.
Yep. I'd be in for that. I would love to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. brought into the MCU again. Yeah. All right. Well, as always, thank you, Mr. C, for joining in this conversation or having this conversation. And thanks, folks in the audience, for participating in the live stream. Do appreciate it. And if you're watching later, would love to see your comments about the series. So post down below. And you can follow us on YouTube as well as Twitter and Instagram. And if you like this video, do us a favor, hit the like as well as the subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. This has been the Fanboy Cantina.
Thanks, Junkyard. Thanks, Greg, for being in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Awesome.